Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Hand Done Crochet, and today we are making together this stunning lightweight crochet poncho. It works in short row faux cable stitches, which are nowhere near as tricky as they look, I promise, and the overall effect is absolutely stunning. As you can see, we have tons of texture in this. You'll find in the description below links for where you can access the pattern, and it comes in different sizes, so you will need to have a check of that to reference to make sure that you're going to do the number of stitches you need for your size. And I'm going to show you how to work through and do each aspect of the poncho. In the description below, you'll find all the information for where you can access the pattern. It comes in different sizes, so you'll need to check in the pattern for the size that you're making, because I'm going to show you the stitches that we're going to be using and how to then seam it all together. And then you can apply that by knowing the numbers that you'll need to work for your size. Now to make it, I am using this beautiful new yarn from Coco and Hobbii. It's their new Merino. It's a stunning sport weight 100% wool yarn. It's so delicate and it's so soft and works absolutely beautifully for this project. Now I believe, let me just check, we get 180 yards in a 50-gram ball, so it goes a long way. So go grab your supplies, find that pattern, check out the numbers you need, and then come back to me and we'll get making. So as you can see from the sample that I'm already making here, we have two distinct sections in this poncho. The whole thing is just one big rectangle that we then shape around ourselves. But these two sections that we have here, we have the faux cable section, and then we have just this plain ribbed section. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you how we work the beginnings and the ends to make our rib section at either end, and then how we work these two sections in a swatch, and then you can use the numbers in the pattern to make it the size that you need for you, or whoever you're making it for, of course. So let's begin making our swatch together. Now you'll see in the pattern that all of the sizes need a foundation chain of a multiple of 6 plus 1. So we're going to put a slip knot on the hook, and then you're going to chain out the number that it tells you for the size you're making. So for me, I'm just going to work a small sample to show you, and indeed you're going to need to do this for your swatch anyway. So I'll do a multiple of 6 plus 1. So here we are, I've now got my multiple of 6 plus 1. If you're ready to start working your poncho, yours will obviously be a lot longer than this, but this stitch is exactly the same that we're going to do. So our first row, we are going to work yarn over slip stitches in the second chain from the hook and each along. Now I really like to work in the back bumps, but I will absolutely admit yarn over slip stitches in the back bumps is not the easiest, and especially in this finer yarn. So just go nice and steady. We have yarned over, and then I'm going to yarn over again, and then I'm going to pull through everything. Now that is the tricky bit sometimes, because there isn't that much space in that stitch. So just go nice and slow and steady, yarn over, go into that back bump, yarn over, and pull through everything. And often I twist there, as you see, to make sure that I've used the space at the back of the stitch to pull it through. I did try using foundation single crochets for this row, but it just gave the wrong texture and didn't look right at all. But if you're really struggling with this, then you can absolutely do that if you prefer. So work away all the way along this to get then a multiple of 6 at the end of it, and yarn over slip stitches all along this row. There we go, that's right at the end of that row, and that's what we should look like at the end of row 1. Now we're ready to turn and work row 2, and row 2 is where we begin our faux cable stitch. Now bear with me on this one, it will feel very alien and very strange if you have not worked these before, but I promise you it's completely doable. So to start with, as you will see on the poncho, at the beginning and at the end of the row, we have got like a little rib section. So on this row, and on all the other rows actually, we're going to do 6 stitches at the beginning and at the end, just into the back loop only, and we're going to work half double crochets here. So we've got, and on our stitches, let's look at them. From this top of the stitch, we have our front loop here, we have our back loop here at the back, and then looking up at us here at the very front of the stitch, we have the third loop. So we're going to need to know all of those for this poncho. And initially we're going to work into the back loop only for 6. So a half double crochet in the back loop only of the first 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, and there's 6. So then when you've got those 6, we're now ready to start working this faux cable section. And you'll see on this one, it sort of snakes back on itself. So we go down, back around, and down again. So we're making this kind of S shape all the way down. So let me show you how that happens, because it's a lot easier than you might think. So just to begin with, for the first start of it, we're going to half double crochet in the back loop only of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. And then before we do anything else, we're going to turn. So we now need the wrong side of our work facing us. And that first stitch that we have in front of us there, we're going to skip that one. And then in the next 4, so think of these as now a set of 5 stitches. So the first one we'll ignore. And the next 4, we're going to work a half double crochet in the third loop. And remember, we said when we're working in rows, that third loop is this first one that we can see here. So down into that and work a half double crochet in the third loop of these 4 stitches. Then we're ready to turn again. And just for this time, this first one of it that we're doing, you need to chain 1 there. And then these 4 stitches that we've now got there, we've just worked, we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of them. So just going into that back loop, we work 1, 2, 3, and that's 4. Now you see, so we've gone across here, up here, and now we're coming back. So we now need to work and carry on traveling in this direction. In order to do that then, we're going to work a half double crochet into the side of this 5th stitch that we did there. So the last stitch that we can see there, we're going to go into the side of that one. So there we are, half double crochet in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work a half double crochet 2 together over the stitch that is the same stitch that's attached here and the next stitch along. So into that back loop of that one that we have, and then start another one in the back loop of the next one. Then we yarn over and we pull through all of them. And that is all there is to it. We're then going to carry on working that up until the last 6 stitches. So let's do another set together nice and steady. So we're going to work 5 half double crochet in the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. And we're ready to turn. And remember, we skip that first stitch and then we're going to work into the next 4. So a third loop only of these. That's 1, 2, 3, whoops, and 4. Now, rather than turning and doing the chain 1, now we have something to anchor onto here. So I'm going to work a slip stitch into the third loop of that next stitch there, just to join it. Then we're ready to turn. And then we're going to work half double crochet into the back loop of those 4 that we've just made. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then you're ready to work a half double crochet into the side of this stitch here, the very last stitch that you can see, and then a half double crochet two together in that one that wiggles when we pull, and the next. And there we go. So then repeat that again. Obviously for the whole poncho you'll be needing to do that a lot more. So there we go. I've arrived at the last 6 stitches here, and we're just going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of each of those. And that's row 2 complete. So now we're ready to turn. And for row 3, we're going to start as we did before by chaining 1 and then working a half double crochet in the back loop of the first 6. Now we've come across our first faux cable section here, and that's got 6 stitches in it. And so what we're going to be doing across this one and all of the others along here, we're going to be working a half double crochet in the 3rd loop only of the next. So this next stitch that we have here, that's going to get a half double crochet in that 3rd loop there. And then the next 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are going to get a yarn over slip stitch in the 3rd loop. So just pop into that loop there, yarn over and pull through. So yarn over before we go in, yarn over and pull through, and remembering to do that little twisting technique if it helps you to give it a little bit more space, otherwise they end up being really tight. And that's our 5. So now we need to carry on repeating that. So a half double crochet in the 3rd loop of the next, and then a yarn over slip stitch in the 3rd loop of the next 5. Here we go again, half double crochet in the 3rd loop, and then a yarn over slip stitch in the next 5. Then we get to the end here, and you can see we've got a long way to go before we get to our final stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet 2 together over the side of this stitch here and into the back loop only of this next stitch. So it looks like this. We're going to yarn over and go into the side of this one here, yarn over and pull through, then we yarn over and then we go into the back loop only of this one here. And then we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of the rest of the stitches. And then that's our row 3 complete. And you'll be pleased to know rows 4 and 5 are the end of this faux cable repeat, and they're really, really easy. Row 4, which is what we're on now, we're just going to chain 1, and then all we need to do is work a half double crochet in the back loop only of each of our stitches. So that's our row 4 complete, and then we're going to turn our work, and row 5 is going to be chain 1 and then just a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of everything. So yarn over and then work that yarn over slip stitch into the back loop. Oh, without popping off, Hannah. There we go. So your stitch count will be the same as when you started. It will always be a multiple of 6 now. And there we have it. That's our row 5 complete. And you can see this amazing texture that we get with these stitches now. So you'll see in the pattern that we need to continue working that up until row 13. So we're going to repeat rows 2, 3, 4 and 5 another 2 times, so that will take us up to row 13. So if you want to go ahead and do that, and I'll do the same off camera, and then we can get back together and I'll show you what we do for the next part of the repeat. So here I am, I have completed up to the end of row 13 and I have turned my work, and so row 14 we have the right side facing us, and I'm going to begin with a chain 1, and then I'm going to work a half double crochet into the back loop only of each of my stitches here. So that's all this row is, half double crochet in the back loop only. And then at the end of row 14 we're going to turn, chain 1, and then row 15 is a half double crochet in the back loop only. So exactly the same as we have just done, just work a half double crochet back loop only for the whole of row 15. Now we turn to work row 16, which is similar, but we're going to change the texture in the middle. So we're going to chain 1, then we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only of the first 6 for our rib here. So that's 2 now, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And now for these center stitches until we get to the last last 6 stitches, we're going to work a half double crochet but into just the actual full part of the stitch. So we have our front loop and our back loop across our hook now for these. So just go into the center of that stitch there. And you work that up until you get to the last 6 stitches, and then we're going to go back to working a half double crochet in the back loop only. Then here we are, the last 6 stitches, we're going to work half double crochet in the back loop. And that's row 16. Ready to turn. And row 17 we're going to chain 1, and then we'll work a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only of all of our stitches across. So when you've completed that row, you now know everything that you need to know for the main panel of the poncho. We're going to repeat those 4 rows that we've just done another time here, and then after that in the pattern you'll see that it says continue to repeat from row 2 all the way up and along, and we work that for as many times as we need to, as it says in the pattern, or to the length that you would like it to be to fit you comfortably. Now remember, we are going to then seam the side of this, but the great thing is that you can drape it around yourself as you're making it to have a little look and see and decide to which point it is that you want to stop and you then want to seam it. So go ahead, make your main panel, and then come back to me and we will talk about seaming. Once you have finished your rectangle, you're ready to make the shoulder seam and to finish off. And the way that we do that is we have the wrong side facing us, and you can see I've doubled it over, so I've got the right side on the inside here, and I folded it in half lengthways. And then what I've done is I grabbed a couple of stitch markers and I've lined it up. I've got the open ends are here on this side, and I've lined it up and I've put these 2 stitch markers in, but you can use as many or as few as you like. And I have said, right, I'm going to, this is for the wide neck version, I'm going to start joining here and join for this much of the shoulder. Now this is not hard and fast, you can join for as much or as little as you like. And I'm also going to show in the images a version of it with a much tighter neckline. So basically the more you seam here along towards the end, the tighter your neckline will be, the smaller this neck hole will be for you, and the more it will need to turn over to give you that lovely collar. Once you've decided where yours are going to be, you can either sew this together or crochet it together. Now in this instance, I think I am going to try sewing it together to start with. I haven't tried this yet, so I don't know what the best version is, but let's have a go and let's see what it looks like. So I do find for ends of rows, it sometimes works better to sew, but if you would prefer to crochet it, then you can absolutely do that. But what I will do is I will take the side of a stitch and match it up to the side of a stitch there. And then you can do a mattress stitch, you can do an over sew, you can do whatever kind of seam that you would like. You can use a whip stitch, anything that you want to join these sides together. But what I would say is try and make sure that these ridges line up together. And then when you're happy that you've sewn up the amount that you need, you just need to break that yarn. I wouldn't weave in your end just yet, but pop your stitch markers out. Leave that end there just as it is and then try it on. And then once you're absolutely happy with it, that's when you can weave in your ends and you will be done. Thank you so much for joining me to make this poncho together. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I can't wait to see your version, so do come and find me. I'm Hand Down Crochet all the places you'd expect me to be, and I'll see you again soon.